Male Kimp.
Male Kimp? What is Male Kimp?
You remember the old days of the podcasts, like a couple years ago? In the olden days.
The olden days of podcasting?
Yeah, that was like like when I was listening to Serial, that was her whole deal was, I think it was supposed to be MailChimp, but for whatever reason, the ad was like, use MailKimp. And I was just like,
MailKimp?
MailKimp? But it was spelled MailChimp, like a chimpanzee. And even the logo was a little chimpanzee. But they would say it every time, like, thank you for our sponsor, MailKimp. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? Anyway.
Speaking of baboon, or speaking of like...
Why is the ongoing theme today monkeys or
know.
great apes or whatever?
But hey, welcome back to another episode
is it on?
of Film to Table.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of chimps or baboons or I don't know, whatever.
We are not going to talk about... Oh, wait, there was...
No, we are.
In this
yeah,
movie,
we absolutely are.
So we're... Singular.
We're talking about, we just watched I think it's 1995. I'm pretty sure. Because I was, 1995.
95?
I was, yeah.
Like the flavor feels older.
I can see that. So we just watched, I mean, literally about 10 minutes ago, we just finished watching Clive, my dark spirit hero, Clive Barker.
Oh.
Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions from 1995. And I wanted you to watch this because I was 100% positive you had never seen this movie. Like, I know you said, like you hadn't watched it with me, but the cover seemed familiar to you, or a television movie maybe or something.
I don't know. I've definitely never seen it, but I feel like the cover, I don't know, there's something about it that feels so iconic that maybe I just saw it a lot when we would go to the video store or something. Maybe. I don't know. Or like maybe the poster was up somewhere where I was growing up. There's just something about the imagery on the poster that looks super familiar. And then just to come to find out, I had never once seen even like 1 minute of this movie. It was very bizarre.
It is really interesting because if I remember correctly, the movie was considered a flop. Theatrically.
Really?
Yeah, theatrically, unfortunately.
Lame.
So this is the cover that you're talking about, right? Where he kind of is like
on the
when
he's on like, or
it looks like he's like, it's like a Jesus sort of like,
it's like a Jesus pose.
And then there's like the glow, like, like you don't want any of this glowing. But so we watched a really pretty restoration. I assume it's a restoration. But from Umbrella Films, which is out of Australia, which has like actually, here I'll show you this, or I need this cover. So this is like a collector's edition. I love this. I love the art for this for the collector's edition that it came with, because like,
is it his art?
No, I don't. I'm not sure where that art is for the actual box. But I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
And so this movie takes me back for a lot of reasons, because I was a...
Well, do you want to talk about what it's about first? Or?
Well, yeah. Sure. Well, that's the thing. It's a little... I think this is partly why it was a... I don't want to say... I mean, unfortunately, I guess it was considered a flop because it didn't really connect with a lot of people. But I think also trying to sell this as whatever type of movie it was, I think was part of the problem. So I guess the way the IMDb, and I should probably look at what the actual like box itself says, or how they have it listed as far as the premise goes. This is: a private detective gets more than he bargains for when he encounters Philip Swan, a performer whose amazing illusions captivate the world, but they are not really what everyone thinks. I mean, that is far from what the movie.
That's like the
that's a very generic.
It's not wrong.
That's not wrong, but if that's what you're selling the movie on, you're gonna get a lot of angry people.
Definitely underselling it.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of angry people like leaving that movie. Yeah, for sure, because Well, it's Clive Barker. I don't know where to, like, that's where I would start, is that it's Clive Barker. So already from the get-go, there's going to be some, like, man penis, and there's going to be boobies. Like, there's going to be a lot of that. And if you're not used to Clive Barker, then you're going to be...
Boy, you're in for something.
Yeah, oh boy. And so, yeah, I think actually what I would say, I guess if I had to really think about it quickly, this movie is actually more about it's almost comical trying to say it, but it's like the dark side of magic and the magic arts. And
Sure.
well, because I mean, I guess thinking back, and I think that they're kind of placating a little bit on this, but I think so. There was that period in the late 80s into the 90s when, like, David Copperfield and, like, all these illusionists would have, like, television specials, like the
I kind of remember those.
they'd have, like, the hour-long... Well, I think David
Like,
Copperfield made the...
Like, it wasn't super common. It would be like a special, right?
be-
on
yeah,
TV,
yeah.
like...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be a special, but it was, like, enough to draw an audience.
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, enough to get, like, a primetime spot, you know, probably during sweeps or whatever, where it's like, we're going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear, remember? I don't know if you remember that.
I remember vaguely.
And then...
Wasn't there something with a yacht also
I think...
at some point?
And then there was, like... I mean, you know, so, like... There was that period where I think that was, like, a big thing. And then...
Right.
Because I even remember... And I may have been around the same time period, but do you remember... This kind of ties back to that one episode where we were talking about the illusionist on Late Night with the Devil. But there used to be a guy... I think when Fox was trying to be we're the cool, like, break the rules channel, they had a guy that would come on with a mask, and he would show you how all these illusions...
It was like a mini series.
Yeah.
It was, because it was consecutive. I remember very vividly. They announced it, and it was like, discover the secrets behind the tricks or whatever.
Right.
And it was a guy that would go around like in a mask, because I guess the presumption was like, oh, he didn't want to get blacklisted.
Right.
Because
he's gonna
he's gonna blow everything wide open, and then he's gonna be a target, and somebody's, I don't know. He was like basically like witness protection program.
Yeah, for magicians.
For magicians. But it was funny because I remember I was like kind of at that age, like old enough to know that all of that shit was
Right.
fake, but young enough still to be like, I don't really want to know. So I refused to watch it when it came on TV, because it's like, of course it's all fake. But I don't want to know where. I don't want to know where, how, the sausage is made, because
Right.
I still want to enjoy it on the offhand chance that I might meet a magician.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah, and I don't want to go on a whole tantrum about my whole thing with magicians, but not a fan. But in any case, like I guess it's funny because the only reason I bring up the blacklisted. Or the masked magician.
the mystery.
Because that's kind of what this
ever,
movie...
like, said who it was.
Well, that's kind of what this movie, I guess, is like the dark side of all of, like, because it's real. It's not...
Yeah.
It's not fake. It's supposed to be real magic. So this movie is more about... I guess what I would say is, like, this movie is partly about magicians and illusionists, but it's almost about, like, if you were to take... like if the art between the two is in question in terms of, like, I guess the way they were saying is illusionists are doing tricks, but magicians are doing it for real.
Yeah.
And so this is almost like trying to give like a backstory to how magicians actually work, which I think there's tons of comic books and things where like that kind of stuff is there. And I actually kind of like that. I think this kind of goes in the Clive Barker dark side where it explains, well, these magicians actually get their powers from, like, the occult and those sorts of things. And there is like a person at the center of all of that. So, I mean, this movie's from 1985, but I guess I'll just put the disclaimer right now that we're going to spoil we're going to spoil everything. Cause yeah, it's almost been 30 years.
30
actually.
years. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Cause my high school reunion is the 1985. So we're about to hit that 30-year mark, but, so yeah, I like that premise. Like, I like the idea of that, because the movie starts, Movie starts like really dark with the like
God, like
occult
immediately.
sort of Davidian
Branch
compound or
Davidians.
branch
Yeah.
Davidian compound sort of thing. I mean, I guess if we talk about just, I guess before we get into the movie itself, from an aesthetic standpoint, this movie is very much like a noir. The way that it is well, and it's interesting because it starts as a noir and then it turns into a Clive Barker movie, like by the back half. Because if you notice, like in the beginning, the music is very like saxophony. It is very like noir type music.
Yeah.
A lot of those early scenes have the long shadows, and that's like a big thing of
Oh
noir.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
There's a ton of that, and then even like
they're in L.A. too.
they're in
like,
L.A.
Yeah.
This movie stars Scott Bakula, who is the detective.
Okay, so no shade on him because he was great and the movie was great. It was amazing, but it felt like he was acting in a different movie. I don't know. There's something about
Scott
him
Bakula
or
is
his,
Scott Bakula.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can be not Scott Bakula.
He's great.
Well, the funny thing is, I think he actually does fit really well in this movie.
No, he's good. He's like fish out of water, kind of, because he was what, a New York detective, or I assume that was the implication. He's like a what is it, big city kind of like hard nosed detective. That kind of gets wrapped up in the occult, kind of unwittingly.
Yeah.
But then he ends up in LA
He
for
gets
this
a
job,
in LA. Yeah.
which I don't know that they ever actually like finished that job. It's just like, oh, he found the guy, and then that was it. And then he gets this other assignment.
It's a classic, like it's a spider web of deeper stuff, right?
Right.
And he's like, oh, that guy's dead,
Yeah.
But yeah, so aesthetically from like a noir movie, and even if you notice, the like he does they do the classic, he's dictating notes to himself when he's spying on that guy.
Oh yeah,
with the prostitutes at the very beginning. So it's a very noir, like Saturday night, watching so and so.
Yeah.
Boy, he's really getting his money's worth with these prostitutes, and like it's that classic, noir thing, which I think was cool. He's got the wardrobe. A lot of the first half of the movie is filmed like a noir. Like I said, the long shadows, the very poignant sort of way of doing that. I mean, the only thing that was missing was the Venetian blind shadow sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job, I think, of like of presenting it as a noir, and like I said,
like a pretty like decent like mystery, like a mystery that's kind of rooted in reality. Like you have no real reason to think that anything crazy was about to happen.
Exactly. And I think like it goes off of the rails.
Yeah, it just goes fucking sideways.
Pretty quick. So I think like aesthetically I really liked a lot of it. Like I said, I like the movie as a whole, but I love the first half of how it's filmed, how it feels. It has a lot of those vibes. And then by the second half of the movie, it's like almost a totally different movie.
Oh, man.
And it's a Clive Barker movie,
Just,
like 100%, like full throttle.
Foot on the gas at that point.
But I love that. And I think that's what I really connected to that movie. I think, and I mentioned to you, when I was a theater manager back in 1995, I put this movie together and I watched it like around midnight because that's the whole spiel with the projectionist, right? You have to you have to put the movie together on a Thursday evening, usually at around 7:00, and then after the last movies have played, you watch the movie to make sure that you put it together in the right order and that you didn't mess up the film. So I ended up watching this movie, and I remember thinking like, oh man, this is pretty fun. Like I like this.
Yeah.
And what I will say, because we watched the director's cut, I specifically wanted to watch that because it comes on a 2-disc and they had the theatrical cut and the director's cut. So I was like, I've never seen the director's cut, so I wanted to see what this was. Man, there's a lot more like jumpy, gory stuff in this that I don't remember from the original like edit.
I honestly don't know where they would have cut it because everything was very effective. And everything kind of served to tell the story of the plot. So I imagine, I don't know, maybe hopefully they didn't mangle it as hard as Nightbreed with a theatrical versus director's cut or whatever.
I think.
But this flowed really well, I thought. I don't know how they cut it with the theatrical, but the
I think
director's
this
cut was really good.
I think this had additional footage, and I think some stuff may have been reordered differently.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. It flowed really well, much better than I remember the theatrical cut. And I think that was a problem with a lot of people because Clive Barker...
And they just love fucking with his shit, though, huh?
They do, because I think that they're afraid
they just
that...
don't know what to do with him, I guess.
I think they're afraid that a normal audience just can't
handle
normal
which
a normal
I
Clive
mean,
Barker.
to be fair,
well, that's true.
They're also not wrong.
You have to have a podcast where you talk about food and movies in order to really appreciate, I think, Sir Clive Barker, because I agree with you. When I saw the original cut, much like with Nightbreed, I enjoyed it. This cut, I actually liked it more because I want to say there were a couple things that were there, and we'll probably talk through them as we talk about the movie as a whole. But yeah, I really liked the contrast between New York and LA, and like the outfits actually were great. The
outfits were great.
Like
his plaid outfit was especially amazing.
Yeah, and I think they even went as far as like when they were in the police station, those sets, like they could have used a much more modern police station, but that police station had like the old wood doors with the big glass like kind of windows, like very noir again. But it's like, man, no way. Like in LA, that would have like they are more modern by 1995. I mean, fuck, the like OJ trial was not like or the whole OJ thing was going down around that time. So, but I love that they stuck to that, you know, to that degree, and then it just kind of unfolds into what it is.
Clive Barker.
Yeah, because I'm curious about your impressions going into the start of the movie, because like it's the movie starts with the whole like occult thing, like the whole thing, and then it just quickly turns to like that. I
mean, kind of right in the beginning, you already kind of have that flavor of Clive Barker because of the occult stuff. It's very much kind of unmistakable, his style is. But then, after that, it just felt like, I'm just watching a regular kind of mystery on TV, and like, I wonder where this is going. And then it just kind of dives into the world of illusionists, and that was just kind of funny and random on its own, because it's like, I don't, these guys are so corny. I mean, I was telling you, like, I would love to go into the Magic Castle in LA, but at the same time, I know immediately I'll be just rolling my eyes the whole time. But I don't know, there's a certain mystique about it that I'm sure they propagate intentionally, that feels like, oh man, I really want to go check that out. Yeah. Even though as soon as you walk in, you're probably like, this is fucking lame.
Well, I don't know if you'd say it's fucking lame, but you have to be prepared for like
I was
saying, you know, it's like,
you know?
what's your name? And then like a fucking handkerchief comes out with the person's name, or it's like, oh man, I could sure use like another drink. It's like, you mean this drink? And then it's just like, it's right out there. Yeah. Like you have to be like ready for all that stuff, because it's just going to be full throttle version of that. And you know what, you know, it's a thing, right?
You gotta take an edible or something before
you just gotta be, you know. And I think part of it is too is because I think my brain just can't accept, I'm very much, I have to know how everything works. And it's not like I have to know the secrets of magicians. I just have to know how things work, right? Like if a door is jamming, I need to know why it's jamming, and I need to fix the jam. Like, and so when I see stuff like that, like, you know, much like movies and everything else, like it's hard for me to turn off the sausage brain of like, I have to know how things work. And then when I have a good understanding of that, like I feel more comfortable, just because I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
so magicians are your like arch nemesis.
Yeah, because they're never going to give up the secrets. so the movie, which stars Scott Bakula and a young Famke Janssen.
I think that's Famke.
Famke.
I don't know. I think she's Swedish or something.
Yeah, and then the guy who plays Philip Swan, his name is Kevin O'Connor. It's funny because I was like, I don't really think I remember him for much, but
you know where I immediately recognized him from was The Mummy.
Okay, yeah, I was
Benny
gonna say,
in The Mummy.
He is very much known for being in The Mummy, and I actually know him from Deep Rising.
Oh.
Yeah, with
With what's his face? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Treat Williams.
Treat Williams, yeah, who just passed away, and actually Famke Janssen was in Deep Rising as well.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, so like I remember him from that. It's funny because the guy who plays Nix, who's like sort of the occult leader guy, he is the the drill sergeant that was always in Malcolm in the Middle. If you
Oh, that's
Yeah.
where he's from.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
I mean, he's like one of those character actors.
yeah.
He's been in everything.
Right, right.
But yeah, so he was in that. So yeah, the movie itself, kind of goes through this investigation of how this magician died, because the movie starts with these occultists are at this compound, and they have kidnapped a girl, and like a small young girl. And so there's either some sort of sacrifice or something's going down.
Something really creepy.
Yeah. And what I will say about that opening scene, like it's not very often that movies do like the occultist thing, like, right. And I think Clive Barker understands creepiness enough how to make normal people look crazy when they're like in an occult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really interesting because it was kind of, it felt like, I don't know how to explain it. It felt like what your parents would warn you about with like Satanists.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously like you don't believe it. It's obviously not real, but if they were real, they would be exactly like that.
Right.
You know? Just super creepy and
like normal looking people, but doing things like, there's that scene where they're looking for the little girl, and then they turn to that one room and they're like butchering animals for food.
Yeah.
And they're doing it like it's no big deal, but like the place looks like a fucking a mess. Like there's just blood everywhere.
And you don't actually know what they're butchering. It may or may not be an
super
animal.
Unsanitary.
Yeah, and everybody's like just blood on them. And
they're just dressed normal and have their sleeves rolled up as if it's like, we got just a time to make the donuts.
Regular Tuesday.
Yeah, it was really like, I love that. And then the way that the look of everybody, like, they just kind of had this very like, whoever did the casting on that, and I'm sure Clive Barker was involved. Yeah, was like, I need a certain look for these people.
Yeah, because it could be your next door neighbor. They totally look normal, like normal people.
Well, and that's what I love about. There's a scene later in the movie where they find the little girl. The occultists, come around to this Nix guy, and this Nix guy is the Malcolm in the Middle general. He is the leader of this group. And the other thing I love about that particular group as well too is like, they're not necessarily Satanists. They never specifically say that they are Christians or they are like some sort of.
It kind of gives you that sinister feeling.
Yes,
like they're
messing with some bad juju.
Yeah, definitely like some really dark stuff, and he could just be performing magic tricks in front of them, and that's all fun and good. But also, there's like this giant skeleton sculpture in the middle of the room, that's still like kind of bleeding and gory. So
that set
definitely
is amazing. Like that
like, what the fuck was that
compound with like all the like what looks like hieroglyphics on the walls, and like there's like just kind of sand all over the floor.
It looked like it could have been an abandoned structure, but then there's people in it.
But there's like no floor.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Is all just dirt.
I love it. It just the scene for it, like you feel like I feel like he really conveyed with just that setting like what he was trying to go for, which is like this super secluded kind of crazy cult that's trying to do some really awful shady shit.
He's so good at like setting up that kind of dreamy, like scary dreamy.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of like surreal and nightmarish a little bit, and you can't quite put a finger on it because it's almost like realistic, but it's not.
Yeah, and it's just like it seems like endless hallways, but not huge. And
Yeah, because you don't get a sense of scale of the house. It looks when they're inside and they're running around in the hallways, like even at the end when they're chasing each other, whatever. It doesn't look like a big house, but they keep chasing each other, so it feels like maybe it is pretty big house.
yeah,
And then they run out at the end of the movie, spoiler, and it looks like this giant,
yeah,
massive
compound,
building.
yeah.
And it's like I have like no concept of what this place
Yeah,
actually should be like.
Multiple floors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels, and that's what I love about it. It's like it's a nightmare, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it feels
really is
like
a nightmare
yeah.
going into that space because you just can't really
You can't
fathom.
you can't get a hold of what the reality is supposed to be.
Right. And I would imagine that's how they want you to feel as part of the cult, right? Is like you're just kind of in here forever and you don't need to find your way out because you'll never need to
Right.
leave.
You're here now. Yeah.
So they find the cult, they find the girl, they kill Nix. But then as they kill Nix, who's I guess like he's basically the ringleader or the I guess like the Jesus of this group.
Evil Jesus.
It's cool because they give him like a Hellraiser mask sort of.
Well, that's not till later. But
No,
yeah.
they put that mask on him.
Like to bind him.
So that
he can't come back
Right.
and take his revenge or whatever.
It's a cool sequence.
Rad, so rad. That mask is that's nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah, that's very Clive Barker-ish.
So
like,
fucked up.
Very Cenobite kind of feeling. And so I guess they kill him and then that's it. Like that's the whole. It's kind of like
be fine now.
It's your cold open. Yeah, it's just like hey, everything's gonna be
Everything's hunky dory.
And then it goes to like the New York detective that's on the case and doing all these other jobs, and then hey, we have a job for you in LA, which is not related to any of the stuff that started the movie
at all.
It's for another guy who's like scamming insurance or some shit like that.
Yeah, just some random job that he's given because I guess what is that? His manager or something tells him like you need to get out of town because
I'm sure
you're all fucked up.
I'm sure whoever his broker is, right? Like
I guess
he probably works for. Well, I think like he works for an insurance company. Because he was like, hey, we need you to go. This guy's
an investigator for that kind of.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So he basically gave him papers to say, hey, this guy's scamming the insurance. We need you to go find him and prove that he's not whatever, like disabled or whatever that he's claiming insurance money off of. So that's what he goes to LA for. Oh. But that's where he runs into that guy was I guess he was getting a reading or he was
he was about to go get his palm read or his tarot reading or something with
a guy who with the guy who was attached to the group of people that actually come in the beginning. He was one of the people that helped save
the cult. That was the guy that with the okay. Now it kind of starting to make
but he's
sense.
like the older he's a little bit older, but he's like a tarot card reader. He's like a medium.
Yeah, sure.
But he's so he this job that he's doing, he ties into this guy. And that sort of starts.
It just kind of like snowballs into.
That starts.
He just kind of he just kind of stumbles into the world of magicians. And it's. I really love the premise. I love the world. I've always loved how Clive Barker kind of does his world building because it feels very. I don't know how to describe it. Like compact. It feels like almost separate from the real world.
Yeah.
So even though it's, rooted in the real world, it feels like all of this could be going on without our knowledge, and it's all, kind of conceivable. You could kind of stumble into some dark corners, some dark alleys, and be like, oh, I can see where, that is where he gets
very much the magic of Clive Barker. I think that's why I love this movie. It is very much like, I think it's a very much it's a hidden gem to, I think, a lot of people because
I'm really kind of upset that I haven't seen this until now.
Well, because it's not horror enough. It's not thriller enough. Like it is Clive Barker.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's Clive Barker in its in its whole,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
which is great. And I think that that's why people are like, oh well, it doesn't have Cenobites, it doesn't have whatever.
It doesn't count.
It almost like it's it's an outsider looking in. But I remember just like always being very attached to this movie, for like that, like you said, sort of that world building, even though like it's magicians, but it was really more the occult, So again,
Right.
it was the satanic portion, like you were saying. It's like, what if magicians were tied into like the supernatural or the
Yeah,
like,
or what if somebody with real magic decides that he's gonna do evil shit with it?
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I really liked it. I feel like a lot of it, like just the storytelling of it and the world building, I thought was very satisfying for
Yeah.
me because it felt like a complete story. It didn't feel like it needed more explanations. It didn't really feel like it needed a whole lot of anything else. Um, the mystery solving of it was fun. The monsters were
Yeah.
fun. Like just all of it was such a good ride. Like I felt the same way like when you first showed me Nightbreed. It's like,
Yeah.
why have I never seen this before? This is crazy. Um,
Yeah. It has those elements that I love about Clive Barker, which is like he is able to create worlds where he just goes kind of beyond, not only like in an imaginary sense, but like willing to go beyond. It sounds almost like a tagline, going beyond the imagination, but like he's able to go beyond like the norm, and even like the norm of like creative people, because like he just sees it he sees lots of things from a different perspective,
right.
and he's able to convey that.
Yeah.
And I love that, because so I guess like the whole tie-in to the movie, which I guess like what IMDb like sort of doesn't really describe, is like basically, so that whole beginning, they kill the evil Jesus, I guess, Nyx, at the beginning, and the whole rest of the movie is one of the people who rescued that little girl, because I guess there were four of them.
Yeah.
Or no, three. There was the
lady,
the guy, and then what's the main character, Swan, with the
but
the
there
hair.
was like a blonde lady too. I thought, or no?
I don't remember.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Anyway, she wasn't.
So there were
included
three or
in
four.
Yeah.
But the three or four of them have gone to this traumatic experience. This little girl has gone to a traumatic experience.
She was supposed to be like, I assume, right, like a human sacrifice.
Yeah, she was probably going to be like
happening.
a sacrifice.
Right.
And so the 4 or 5 of these characters escape this traumatic experience, and the movie is really about they are trying to move on with their lives, but they fear that someone is trying to resurrect Nyx and bring him back and his power. And if he does, he's going to want revenge on the people that did this to him.
Yeah.
And so the illusionist, who is Kevin O'Connor, or Swan, the main illusionist, he effectively stages his death to try to get people off his scent. And he's married to Famke Janssen. And she's kind of freaking out, because she's like, oh my God, like, my husband's dead, and I want to hire you to find out what has happened to him, whatever.
Yeah, why did this, yeah.
And then lo and behold, it was all staged, because he's
Spoiler.
actually trying to, he's trying to hide from the people that Nyx is, or the
want to resurrect
cronies,
Nyx.
of Nyx. Yeah. And that's what I actually like, and I'm pretty sure this was not in the original, but as they are like trying to get all the people to bring Nyx back, and there's the one villain, that's another thing Clive Barker is really great at, is creating these evil looking characters. The one guy with the
this is like Buttersworth or something.
Yeah,
Had a funny name.
Butterfield.
Butterfield.
Who's the guy with he has the albino eye, the one eye,
And
that has,
he wore these like flesh colored leggings the whole time.
It's such a great.
He was so fancy.
He's a great
He had
villain.
like crushed, like he had a mustard yellow crushed velvet top on at one point.
Yes.
And he just, I mean, it looked like he was ready to like go to a rave as he was to like resurrect this guy.
But I
it
love
was like,
that.
he looked amazing.
He looked great. He wore the outfit great.
Yeah.
but it added to like the villainness of him.
Yeah,
Because his little crony sidekick was like wearing like a Nazi,
like a neo-Nazi
Yeah.
look. It was like leather and patches and
like SS patches,
yeah, a
and all
Confederate flag on it, and
Yeah.
he's like a skinhead, and he has like weird teeth, and it was just like, okay, that guy obviously is a bad guy,
Right.
But then standing next to Buttersworth,
Butterfield.
Butterfield, who had these fabulous leggings on, and he just had such a cool, almost kind of David Bowie look to him, a little bit, kind of like fancy with the funny eye, and
Yeah.
kind of rock and roll.
I love that. I love that
little,
about all the
little
characters.
glam rock about him.
Even like Swan, like he has a certain look to him.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott Bakula is a good looking dude. Like
But like I said, it doesn't he feel though like, oh, just Scott Bakula just kind of stumbled into this movie.
He's kind of like, Scott Bakula, what are you doing
Did you
here?
quantum leap into
Yeah.
this or what? Like,
I know, but he plays such a great like swarmy
he's great.
detective.
No, yeah, he's great.
Like he's great. I was actually thinking about that as we watched the movie. I was like, I wonder who could have played his part. But you know what? It's like
It was fine.
It's fine.
I mean, you don't really need much more than what he was given. So,
but yeah, and so basically, like by the end of the movie, like Nyx is resurrected, and now there's like a big fight between Nyx and I guess like
Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula.
We're just gonna call him Scott
Yeah,
Bakula.
Scott.
It doesn't matter.
And Philip Swan, the magician, and Femke Janssen, but like leading up to that, there's like, man, you jumped a lot in this movie.
I
Way
did.
more.
There was a lot of really kind of freaky character design on some of the.
The tension
like,
was good too.
It was nuts, actually. I was kind of shocked at how effective a lot of it was for as old as this movie is.
Yeah. There were a number of jump scares. I will say too, I guess speaking to this this version of this disc, the audio was great. Like, and it's probably been remastered.
Yeah, you need
specifically
to
for
turn
this.
down the bass in our movie room because.
Well, it's a package deal. It all comes together. I didn't master it. I didn't master the bass, but I will say there was like a lot of cool like surround sound with like the swooshing and the audio, especially when they're trying to keep you like creeped out from what's coming from behind. But
yeah, it was real effective. Like a lot of the makeup was really done well, except maybe like at the end for Nyx. I like that look didn't necessarily work for me.
Oh,
like
really?
the weird makeup that they like, the weird prosthetic that they kind of put on
I
him.
kind of liked it.
I don't know, it's kind of half and half on it. Like I can see why they went with it, but it was a little weird for me.
I will say because the last time I watched this movie, because I don't have it in any other format other than VHS, and I watched it on VHS maybe like 2 years ago, or it may have been during the pandemic.
What, this movie?
Yeah, I was watching it one time by my.
Before you bought this restoration.
Yeah, and
okay.
I have a couple copies.
Oh, gotcha.
I've got like a screener version on VHS, and I have like another, like a regular copy.
Oh, gotcha.
And I remember watching it, and I will say, like, much like a lot of things, when it's in a higher resolution, like maybe the prosthetics don't hold up as much, and some of the special effects don't.
The graininess can't.
The graininess of VHS probably served Nyx's final look at the end. Mm-hmm. I will say though, and I know it kind of creeped you out, and this is very much a Clive Barker thing, but the mushy asshole that is like on
his
Nick's forehead, that kind of is like
not a fan.
Starfishing
the whole time. It's just like breathing, and it's like, oh, I don't want to look at that.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
That is very much like Butterball, you know, sort of playing around with his like vagina cut in the middle, because he's always playing with that.
Creepy.
Like, and then the same with like
the
lady Cenobite.
The female Cenobite, yeah.
Yeah, and she's got that cut there, and like, so he's very much like, that was very, very purposeful.
No, I figured. I mean, if it was anybody but Clive Barker, it would have been a stupid accident.
But I love that. Just from the standpoint of like, it just adds another layer of just like, ugh, like
yeah.
I kind of like the look of him at the end, because it kind of looks like, I kind of wish when he'd taken off the mask that it just ripped some of his skin off.
Yeah.
But instead, it's kind of like he got a tan, is really what it is.
He just got weird.
Like he's got light colored and dark colored skin because part of it was covered in a mask.
He sat in the tanning bed for a little too long.
Yeah, or, you know, like what 40 feet underground or whatever they dug him
Yeah.
in. But yeah, like I will say, like I like the movie. I really enjoy it. I kind of wish, and this is no knock necessarily on the movie, I wish they had maybe like a Dean Cundy or like a high end
Oh,
cinematographer to really
I think it could have, yeah, pushed
maintained.
it a
Yeah,
little harder if it was that was the case.
because it, like I said, it kind of has it, and then it
It
kind of loses it.
almost, yeah. It's real close to being like a perfect, not perfect maybe, but like kind of a getting to kind of classic status. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because the writing is there and the acting is really fun and kind of campy where it needs to be campy. But yeah, I can kind of see that if they had like just shoved a little bit more money at him or something.
yeah. I mean, like
Um,
I think I remember, and I think people have said it too. It's like, oh well, Famke Janssen, she's not a great actress, and blah blah blah. I thought she was really
She
good in
was
this.
fine. I mean, she kind of,
She played the part
she
that needed
did. Yeah, I was
to
gonna.
be
She
played.
did what she had to do. Like
Yeah,
there wasn't a whole lot for
but
her character.
I love how they gave her the noir looks as well too,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like the
that the
hair,
hair and
the
yeah,
outfits, like just
yeah.
very over the
The
top.
weeping damsel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I thought that was great. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think I was very interested to hear your take, just because.
I was honestly, yeah. I don't know. I was really surprised by it just from, I guess, not knowing anything about the movie. I just love how well written it was. I don't know. I haven't yet. I don't know. I haven't yet seen anything from. And granted, I'm not super well versed in his, short stories or books, but I haven't yet seen anything of his that I haven't liked because he has, like you were saying, he has such a unique kind of creepy perspective. Like
Mhm.
he was like the OG like goth kid, like
Yeah,
he kind of like made it okay to kind of explore some of that stuff and it just again like kind of we were laughing about like who else but Clive Barker would think to dress the magician's assistants in like nothing but like leather thongs and
yeah,
like it was so
um,
over the top but
yeah,
I was like I would watch that stage production
yeah.
that looks incredible.
That stage production had a giant demon behind them, and just
Giant demon
everything.
breathing fire and like the dancers or whatever were like barely clothed and they were like real sexy dancing and whatever um but still like super dark and gothic.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive that this is one, if not the last film that Clive Barker directed,
Oh, huh.
because I think he was just kind of fed up
I
with
feel
like
that. I mean,
the
if they
film.
chopped his shit up and then like
Yeah.
shoved it in the theater without, and then I'm sure they probably didn't market it right.
Yep.
If it flopped that hard.
Well, and like I said, would have I think it would have been. I think it could have been awesome with another cinematographer, but to be honest, though, I think that would be a challenge to work with Clive Barker to capture
Sure.
the spirit of a Clive Barker feeling movie
Yeah.
and a noir and maintain that all the way through.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it. I think the last thought that I have for that or for this is just it actually kind of feels like very much like his books in that it's the world and how you imagine it and how it's being told. Like you in your mind, you're like thinking about it being a noir, and then as you're kind of continuing to read, and you're like, oh man, and this dude's buried it from underneath the ground, and all this stuff. That it kind of does feel how the back end of the movie feels, where you're like, you read it in a way that it unravels more into like it's supernatural and it's all these other things, and it's like you kind of forget that it was a noir to start with,
Right, because it kind
because
of that's not how it ends.
no, and there's no way to really like cross that with without making it extremely like maybe boring of keeping it that noir.
Yeah, you could really only go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like, and it knowing that it was a Clive Barker movie, you
Yeah.
knew it was going to end a certain way. So
Yeah, and it being a Clive Barker movie makes it really interesting or challenging for trying to decide what it is that we would eat or make to go with this.
yeah, because it's like half the time I was like, oh,
Oh man, especially towards the end there,
oh
there's
my
a lot
god,
of
there's a
that
lot.
stuff. But that is our challenge ahead of us. Is this is filmed to table, and so it's funny because I didn't want to be too. I didn't want to get too attached to the fact that we were eating dinner before, like as the movie started, and we had a delicious meal. But for me, I think, and it's kind of along the same lines, but I kind of don't want to cheat, but I'll see what you have to say as well too. So I'm gonna sort of modify mine a little bit, but this very much feels like I need. I would imagine myself walking around with like a smash burger, but in a foil, like in foil, like,
Okay.
but from a place that sort of, or maybe if not foil, like that thick butcher, or not thick butcher paper, but like the checkerboard paper.
Oh yeah.
That you can eat while you're
Like
walking.
deli paper, yeah.
Yeah, that you can eat while you're walking, and it has like what do you call those? The real fat steak fries.
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
okay.
and like in a Coke, like in a very generic.
Where are you walking around that you're eating all
Well,
that?
because I'm investigating.
Oh yeah,
you know what I
okay.
mean? Like,
okay. You're on a stakeout.
In LA, yeah,
Gotcha.
and I'm walking between a little burger joint that's like on the side of the street, like it's like almost in a not even in a food truck, but like in a food cart, like
Right.
Those kind you kind of pull along,
Yeah.
and they're kind of attached to that. So the guy's got like one of those flat griddles and makes like the burger smash down or whatever. So it's very greasy, lots of cheese,
Oh, okay.
onions,
That sounds
and
good, actually.
yeah, but it's got to be super smashed because
yeah.
it's got to be very manageable to eat while I'm like standing and walking in my suit back and forth between the stakeout, or I'm following this guy down the street, right, as I'm doing all these things. Because that's how it kind of made me feel, especially on the LA portion when he's like, there's a lot of open space.
Well, that's what he's eating, kind of.
There's
like,
a scene,
when he's watching the guy he initially was there who's supposed to watch.
Yeah, when he gets hired.
Yeah.
He's like,
kind of.
he asks us about lunch, and the next scene you see him walking with it looks like a burrito or something.
No, it was, well, he was eating a burrito when he was in the car with that Valentine guy. But when he's staking out, the guy he was initially sent out there for, he was eating a burger.
Yeah.
But then he kind of spits it out because I guess it wasn't a very good burger.
Oh,
you didn't notice? Like, he threw it. He doesn't spit it out, I don't think, but he like throws the burger away, and then he runs after the guy when he starts to leave.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, but my burger would be delicious. I wouldn't spit it out. I'd probably
keep eating.
or I would fold it back over and then like put it, like squat down and put it on the ground to make sure that I come back and get it later, because these are good burgers. These sort of the other alternative that I would probably do to that is a chili dog. Like chili dog, but it's got to be like in a double container, because again, I'm walking and I have to be able to hold
a mess.
it.
Yeah.
And in that case, I can't have fries or anything, because like
just a chili dog.
That's a double holder. Like you got to use
on the
both
go.
hands.
Yeah, you got to
have both hands. Whereas a burger, I can one hand the burger.
Yeah.
And I can have
you
kind of
juggle the fries a little bit.
Well, I can have the fries like on the outside of the burger, so I can one hand palm the burger and the fries,
right?
And I can have my
just
Coke,
like slurping down the drink.
Yeah, I can have my drink there, or like I said, or just a chili dog with like maybe a little bit of cheese and onions.
Yeah, that's for like the next day stakeout.
Yeah,
like
I could see that.
If you don't find the guy immediately,
because again, it has to be hand holdable, but that's a two-hander, so
messy. Okay.
It's very messy, but it is very stakeout type food. Okay. So it's challenging because chili and Clive Barker, I don't know, like I better eat that chili dog pretty early.
Pretty early in the movie, yeah. You're not gonna want to eat anything.
I don't know. I don't know if that spins up your mind a little bit. If you want to go like beyond the menu to try to think of something.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I almost it was almost going to be too obvious, because today is the day before Easter, and we were joking about like, oh haha, he's kind of like trying to be Jesus, but kind of gross.
He's coming back from the dead.
Yeah, he's coming back from the dead. Nix is, but he with like a weird asshole on his forehead. So that made me think like, what's
the asshole?
No, okay. Obviously not. I thinking about zombie Jesus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But sorry to the religious folks out there. I guess this episode won't be for you.
Oh well.
Disclaimer. No, so it made me think of Easter, and what and just the fact that he has like his little followers, his cult
Oh,
members.
okay.
And at one point he calls them like his lambs.
Okay.
So it would have to be like a rack of lamb, like you would have
Huh.
for Easter dinner. Probably some, I don't know, like fingerling potatoes and a nice like kind of arugula salad to cut through the richness of
Damn.
the. Be nice. It'll
That's
be a nice meal.
That is pretty
You have
nice.
to eat it before you watch this movie.
I don't know if I'd
but
eat it in that compound though.
not,
maybe
not in the
maybe outside that or on the top floor of the
You
compound.
have no idea what they're butchering in that compound. I would not eat anything
yeah,
from there.
I'd probably make it in a external kitchen, maybe bring it over.
Yeah, that's maybe something you eat, something that Famke Jensen would prepare for you because she lives in a nice mansion.
In the mansion house.
Yeah, because
yeah.
they're fancy rich people. They got some money thrown around for like a roast lamb.
Well, you have your
roast rack of lamb.
your magician friends over.
Yeah,
for
you
that.
just magic that shit on the table.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, did you need more potatoes? Bloof.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you just kind of wave your hand
Bloof.
and there's more. That's so I'll piggyback off yours to finish this out. But if I had a thick pita bread, I would take some of your lamb.
Mediterranean style lamb?
Yeah,
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would thin slice your lamb so I could have a handheld
Oof.
sandwich.
So you can keep going to your steakhout.
Yeah, so I keep going to my stakeout. I'm going to hand hold my pita bread, fold my pita bread with your lamb, throw some my steak fries into the sandwich.
Some pickles in there.
Maybe a little bit of
some
what do you call it? That garlic.
that
garlic sauce.
The garlic, yeah.
The white garlic sauce.
Yeah, the white garlic
Almost
sauce.
like a gyro or a hero.
gyro.
Like a gyro.
Yeah. Yum.
And I would do that with your leftovers. So
Fuck
this would
yeah,
be
that
like on
sounds
the
really
third
good.
day of the stakeout. Because I've already, day one is burger, day two is hot dog. Or
and
chili
by
dog.
the third day, he has risen. So
Oh,
now we have
there it
leftovers.
is. There it is. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Well,
Happy Easter,
Happy
everyone.
Easter, everybody. But yeah, no, that was fun. I think I think this is a good movie. I think our food choices were, again, interesting, on two ends of the spectrum, but I feel like they actually like kind of fit in.
Kind of circled back around.
Yeah,
So.
and I think it's very. I think Clive Barker would be proud of this menu. I guess if we're gonna give this movie a rating again, I don't know if I would give this. I don't know if I put this on the chef's. I would put this on the chef's specials, but like seasonal.
Okay.
I would
can
actually
see that.
not. I would not. This would not be a fall seasonal menu item. This would actually be.
It has to be spring.
It'd have to be a spring. Yeah,
Obviously.
and it's funny because I mean, it was completely random that tomorrow just happens to be Easter, and then you were like looking at me. He's like, "Wait a minute, like did you do this on purpose?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I kind of didn't even think about the resurrection part. I was thinking of it more of just." The illusion part, because it's a big component of the movie.
Well, you're such a big fan of magicians.
Yes, of course, and really the occultists bookend the front and back of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so I never really thought about that when you looked at me and you were like, "Wait a minute," and I was like, "No, I didn't." But yeah, no, I this is definitely a spring. This is a seasonal spring chef special. I think if you haven't seen this movie, well, we spoiled the shit out of it, but. You should still watch it, and if you can
watch it, so fun.
If you can get a hold of this, a director's cut, or if you can get a hold of the umbrella, like I guess collector's edition that comes with a really nice, little booklet on it, and I guess it's also got like some little cards in it, from the actual movie and stuff. I would very much recommend that you pick that up and give the director's version a shot, but. Well, let's go rummage through the fridge and see if there's any lamb, or maybe might be a little late for some
vegetarian after this movie.
Well, that's what Clive Barker does. He can help you lose the weight you need and help you go vegetarian.
Get into that summer bod.
So, but like Job said, Michael, they're not they're not tricks.
They're not tricks, Michael. They're illusions.
Tricks are what whores do
For money.
For money. Or for candy. Love you.